Welcome to the Railway Series Book Club, the podcast where we dissect the Railway Series. I'm Jamie.
I'm Marina.
I'm Liv.
And we hope you enjoy the show. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Railway Series Book Club, the podcast where we talk about, I don't know if you heard of it, there's this thing called trains.
Oh shit, I've heard of those.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're better than cars.
I've heard that they're like the only actually good transportation vehicles.
Yeah.
Hey, Cars is amazing. Those movies are massively underrated.
But you see, sometimes trains can be troublesome. And that's what this book is about.
You could say that they like to be troublesome engines, even.
But, fuck, what's the...
Troublesome
I fucked that
trains.
up. Yeah, we're talking about, we're starting our coverage on troublesome engines today. The fifth book in the Railway series, written by the Reverend W. Awdry, published in 1950?
Yeah, 1950.
The 15th of January, 1950. That's a lot earlier than I thought it was.
Was this the same time Disney was having the animator strikes, or was that earlier?
I don't know anything about that. But,
I like to think at the same time, like, Awdry was, like, watching, like, railway workers on strikes and was like, I could write stories about this. In the U.S., Walt Disney was, like, trying to, like, fucking punch union, his, like, animators trying to start a union while yelling, "You call me sons of bitches!"
He did do that, everyone. Look it up.
Yeah, Walt Disney. Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Disney Corporation in general is a piece of shit.
Watch a video
anyway,
called The Wildest Party Walt Disney Ever Threw, if you want to know more about that.
Yeah. But yeah, as Maury kind of spoiled there, this book is kind of interesting in that it came out during a time in which there were a lot of strikes happening on the newly formed, or recently formed, you know, it formed in 48, you know, this book was published in, like, the 15th of January, 1950, which is, like, really early 1950, so this had to have been, like, penned during, like, around the end of 1949, so probably, like, around, like, 49-ish, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever it happened, it was published and written during a time when there were a lot of strikes happening on British railways. So Awdry used this as inspiration for his book. Now we're gonna have a lot of discussion about this as we go along, because, frankly, reading the book, I'm not entirely sure what his angle on it is, or if he was trying to push an angle through this book. Because, like, I feel like the big question with this book, that I have at least, is what was Awdry's angle on it? Because to me it seems there are two possibilities. The first possibility is he saw the striking workers, thought it was stupid, and decided, oh, I'll have my silly engines do a strike to show that it's silly. Or, you know, he saw the strike going on and he was wondering, wow, there's a railway strike going on. I wonder what would happen if my silly and childish engines had a strike. And I bet it would be over something silly and childish. I'll write a book about it. So, I feel like I lean, I mean, you know, just because I'm an idealist, I'd lean towards the latter, frankly. But honestly, reading through a lot of the book, you know, I did all of my note-taking in one go for this one. I feel like it might be more of the latter, but we'll just have to see as we go through the book.
This, obviously, like, we have to see as we go on, because I haven't even read the rest of this book, and I don't even remember how long, but I think it might be, like, a weird mix of both. Like, that, like, he probably didn't get everything that was going on, and probably thought it was a bit silly, but then was like, I could use this for a story, and then just went with that, and it wasn't, like, intentionally meant to be, like, political commentary type thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, given how much Awdry loves the railways, loved. He's dead now. Duh.
What are you
given how much
talking about?
Audrey
He's
loved-
alive! Sleepy
right,
Henry
of course,
slapped
we
his
made that
ass
joke last
personally in Las Vegas.
I need to remember the canon of our podcast. Yeah, but given how much Audrey loved the railways, I find it hard to believe that he'd be against the rights of the people working on the railway. But then again, a lot of people just everywhere are propagandized into hating unions and workers' rights by our capitalist society, so he might have been a victim of that, maybe. I don't know.
Fuck capitalism, be gay, do
But this
crime
story
is the
doesn't really
message
have
here.
anything to do with the strike, so we can think about it later. Yeah.
We never did introductions.
Oh yeah, we didn't do introductions. Hello. My name is Jamie. I am the hostess with the mostest. My pronouns are she, her.
I'm Marina, your local TV series bitch. My pronouns are she, her.
I'm Liv. I'm British. That's the extent of my personality. She, her.
Join our Discord server.
Yes, join our Discord server. We're doing this up front for once. Join our Discord server. It's very fun and cool, and we can talk about episodes and share art and memes.
Yeah. Join the
you get
Discord
notified.
server and join the Discord server and you'll be able to see all of the cool art of Benry that was done a few months ago.
Yeah.
Fucking
you know, you
Brutus's
get to talk to cool
line
people,
image is
including
so
us.
cool.
Yeah. It's an awesome loop line. You know, you'll get notifications that we'll put out whenever an episode goes live. Yeah, it's pretty good time, you know. It's a pretty quiet server overall, but, you know, personally I think that makes it good because, servers that have way too many pings going on at once, are kind of hellscape. You know,
Yeah.
depending on how popular this podcast gets, I might be biting myself for saying that publicly. You know, if the server ends up becoming a mega server, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
This book is the introduction of Percy, which makes it automatically one of the best. Okay.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, I don't think I call it one of the best, but it does introduce Percy. That is a factual statement. Speaking of factual statements, apparently, this book came out around the time Audrey was developing the timeline properly. And, in the iOS book, it says this book takes place in 1926, so that'd be roughly a year after Thomas leaves to go run his branch line.
So it takes place, like, before, like, Terrence in the Snow and, like, Birdie?
Yeah, we went over that last time. For some reason, in the officially published material, the last two stories in the last book take place, like, in the 40s, solely because, Birdie and/or Terrence's bases were built then, and I choose to ignore that.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So, just discounting that is an outlier. The rest of this book, you know, this is, like, you know, pretty firmly takes place after, James the Red firmly takes place a year after Thomas the Tank Engine. And assumedly, James the Red Engine and at least the first two stories in Tank Engine Thomas Again take place between them. And I think a year between the, Thomas leaving and this book works pretty well, because, like, that feels like the right amount of time for some kind of, like, you know,
Yeah.
thing like this to fester, you know?
Yeah, for the conflict to kind of, like, come to a head.
Yeah. So, speaking of this conflict, I think we should read the foreword
Yes!
to get an idea of what this conflict looks like. Even though the first page also says this stuff, but because there's forewords, I feel like we should read the forewords just to be thorough.
There's also information in the forward that's not mentioned in the actual book itself for one particular
And, like,
thing.
some of the
Oh, no, wait,
some
no.
of the
Yes.
forewords later on actually get pretty funny.
Yeah, the forewords are pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the one in the 98 edition of Three Railway Engines where Christopher Audrey writes it. Like, it's kind of touching there.
Aw.
Audrey also wrote, like, a foreword for Three Railway Engines when it went to Japan that kind of, like, talked a little about how, like, you know, oh, the books are British, so they might not be the same as the trains you knew, but, you know, kids are kids and engines are engines, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Aw.
Yeah. That's like kind of the
And-
rough idea
and
of it.
Big
I don't think
surprise.
anyone's done a proper translation.
Like, this is the big surprise here. Japan did like it.
Yeah.
A lot.
They love it more than Mattel does.
They love the series more than, like,
Maybe the UK.
yeah. Like,
You know.
UK, I feel like
the
competes.
I feel like the UK and Japan are kind of like...
Like, maybe...
Japan's a lot more vocal about their love of Thomas, but Thomas kind of permeates pop culture over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was more gonna say
you know.
maybe the US and definitely the UK. Because, like, UK, I
You
think,
know.
like, Thomas is a big deal. And, like,
You know, Japan is basically like Asian Britain in terms of its, like, it is an island that has committed a vast many war crimes. It also pervades a lot of our culture today.
Jesus
Like it-
Christ.
I want a Thomas the Tank Engine anime.
You know, I'm not one to advocate for, brands buying other properties to amass more power, but
I'm not one to
I would-
advocate for anime.
look, if Takara Tomy buys the Thomas IP, which they were trying to, probably, I think. I've heard that Takara Tomy was in the bidding process for, like, Hit Entertainment before Mattel picked it up. But if Mattel purchased the Thomas IP, or not Mattel, if Takara Tomy purchased the Thomas IP and used that as an excuse to bring back Playrail in the West, I would be very, very happy.
Fucking what if we got a Pui Pui Molcar and Thomas crossover?
I don't know if Takara Tomy owns that IP, but
Even if they don't, I
I'd
want it.
I wonder if they're ever gonna do a Tomika version of that.
I want it so
Tomika
bad.
and Playrail are not the same thing. I want to do a fucking essay on that because
I've seen
it's
some
annoying that people conflate them.
Tomika are the small ones, right?
Tomika is die-cast cars that occasionally make stuff like trains.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Tomika and Playrail have some crossover just because, there's Takara Tomy's toy train brand and Takara Tomy's toy car brand, so they can do really easy, like, cross-compatibility with certain items.
I've seen people make, like, straight-up Playrail Pui Pui Molcars, and I want one so bad.
God, I want one.
Same!
Weren't we gonna read the foreword?
Yes, okay. Dear friends, news from the line has not been good. The Fat Controller has been having trouble. A short while ago, he gave Henry a coat of green paint, but as soon as he got his old color back, Henry became conceited. Gordon and James, too, have been getting above themselves, in all caps, for some reason. I'm glad to say, however, that the Flat Controller has quite kindly, but very firmly, put them in their place, and the trains are running as usual. I hope you will like meeting Percy. We shall be hearing more of him later. Signed, the author.
So yeah, they touch. I think they touch upon this in, like, parentheses in the first page of the story. But Henry's green again.
Yeah. Which,
Because Audrey got tired of people getting confused.
like,
Yeah,
This-
he had to fend off Benry a whole lot. It was a real hassle, so he just made him back into green.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is when Henry took his life back.
Yeah.
I think in the second illustration, they're both blue. And I
Yeah,
just...
and they both have the...
Yeah,
and they
Like,
both
they're
have
both
the,
Gordon. They're just straight up
they-
both
Yeah.
Gordon.
They're both blue and they both have the square buffers.
I
Yeah.
Actually.
could not
Could
say
it be
who's who.
argued that could it be argued that the second Gordon is Benry? Because, I mean, it doesn't...
Oh god.
Benry doesn't have square buffers, though, and that's, like, as we've established, that's part of Perfect Henry. But Benry is not Perfect Henry.
Semi-perfect Henry.
Yeah.
It's be-
Maybe now that Henry's gone back to green, Benry has taken Henry's previous shape. But this is the
What
last we
if-
see of Benry, as far as I'm
what
aware,
if-
so...
Henry absorbs Benry, becomes the green Henry again, because he's perfect Henry. And
Kind of like how in, like, one of those Sonic comics, Sonic, like, absorbs a bunch of chaos energy and his eyes become green.
yeah, or like Benry is the equivalent to Android 17 and 18. He's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
See, the mention of sort of like chaos energy just made me imagine like Henry, but he's like Fleetway Supersonic.
God.
The Fat Controller laughed. Oh, you mean the Chaos Emeralds?
Anyway,
Someone photoshopped
on the one hand,
that.
I'm kind of sad they dropped Henry being blue because, like, it was a really cool symbolic gesture that meant, like, hey, Henry's gonna get over himself now at the end of 3 Railway Engines. But on the other hand, I guess, like, this also kind of works as symbolism because Henry's becoming more vain in this story. I'm not sure. Results inconclusive. I honestly feel like ideally...
I also just prefer Henry in green. I think he looks better.
Yeah, Henry in green is pretty good. I feel like ideally what we should have had was, you know, Henry stays blue from the end of 3 Railway Engines all the way until his accident in Flying Kipper, and then when he comes back from the works, he's in green.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah. You know.
Even if, like, the timing of it couldn't been better, I feel like making Henry green again was ultimately the best choice, because, like, we know how parents are with the series, like...
Yeah.
Like, whether you agree with it or not, that's definitely part of why Edward was one of the ones chosen, or the first one chosen to kind of be removed from the Steam team, because he was the other blue tender engine that parents confused for Gordon. I think having 3 blue tender engines in the Steam team...
3 blue tender engines with one of them looking like deathly similar to Gordon would have been insane.
Yeah. I think from character design and marketing standpoint, it worked out for the best.
Yeah. Like, you know, I don't feel like marketing is much of like a concern at this point.
Oh no,
in the
it wasn't, but
you know, just for the sake of keeping Audrey sane, I think it was like, you know what? Maybe if I do this, I won't lose my mind anymore.
God, what if he didn't make this change?
But it didn't work, and that's why we got the next book. But the next book is actually pretty cool. So, I mean, you know.
What if in the alternate universe where Audrey kept Henry blue because he wanted him blue, that's what led to him firing Dalby instead of, like, things reaching their breaking point at Percy's book? They would have reached their breaking point over Henry.
God.
Because I could see that happening.
I could see that happening too. God.
See, now I'm just imagining, like, fucking Margaret just comes into, like, Wilbert's study, like, hello, Wilbert, do you have some more letters? A lot of them seem to be about Henry. And it's just Wilbert just slamming his head on the desk.
Get Dalby in here now.
Margaret, if I may trouble you, I would appreciate it if you could call up Reginald.
All I really else have to say is just, why is getting above themselves and in their place capitalized?
Well, it's for emphasis. Like, you know.
Oh, okay, so it's the equivalent of all
we talked about
words.
it before, but, like, the way Audrey uses capitalization for emphasis feels a lot like what modern text posts kind of do today, to an extent.
Yeah, just
and I
like
really
more
enjoy
reserved.
It's kind of like, I guess it's like a very stupid example. It's like if somebody posts a picture of a dog and it just has the word him, but the H is capitalized.
See, what I'm thinking about is when people make posts and then they're like, you know, saying, why is this like that? But the like that is capitalized, so you know it's meant to, like, be referring to whatever weirdness is going on.
It's like my Twitter posts when I was having that breakdown when I realized that Ruby was just a really shittily done Avatar ripoff, and all of my posts were in all caps with like 5 what the fucks.
Yeah.
That's sort of my...
It's powerful emphasis tool. Audrey was ahead of his time. I just remembered the final thing that we were gonna say, which is that, unlike the other stories in this book, this one is, I was gonna say weird, but interesting is probably the better word to use. but this is the first story we've come across that is adapted out of order in the TV series.
Yes!
Oh, fuck.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I completely forgot about that, but I really did want to talk about that. The only other stories in season 1, like, from the books that were adapted that weren't adapted, like, in that season were this, Leaves, and Paint Pots and Queens, right?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say Miss Kindly's
Also Mrs. Kindly, also the Mrs. Kindly story, but they like kind of replaced it with Christmas Party for some reason, which
yeah, it's
I guess that counts. Kinda.
Pseudo adapted. That one's weird, but like
we saw a
I
flashback for one scene. I guess that counts.
I think they
Christmas Party as a kid made me think that there was an episode of season 1 that I just couldn't find.
Aw. It's
Aw.
I get why they did Christmas Party, because I think they wanted the Christmas episode to have everyone together, so they kind of
Yeah, that makes sense.
tried to do like a pseudo adaptation of like Kindly's Christmas, but then like also tie in Christmas Party, but
They kind of got Audrey to write a sequel to it, and
Yeah.
I think that's fun.
yeah, same. I do, out of all the ones they skipped though, like not counting that one, I think this one was definitely the best choice, I guess, for an episode to skip, because I feel like this is the one where it's easiest to make it stand alone. Leaves.
Yeah, like the episode in season 4 does a really good job of making a standalone episode, actually.
Yeah.
Because it kind of keeps the same kind of atmosphere from the book, where the big engines are kind of discontented with everything that's going on, and they miss Thomas since he's gone to go to the branch line. But it also makes it very clear that it's like not in the same order of events. But it also, it is also just a pretty good adaptation, and it does a really good job of shaving off any inconsistencies with continuity,
Yeah.
unlike something like, say, Paint Pots and Queens.
Yeah.
This is kind of getting ahead, but I kind of feel like because of its removal from when it was intended to be, kind of defeats the whole point of the story, because like the ending is like, James and Gordon feel sorry for Henry, but they make fun of him, and that's the end.
Well, I guess it's because the story kind of starts with Henry being a bit of a dick to James, so then
Yeah.
like he kind of has
It's
his
not
own.
with James being a dick to Henry.
Well, they're all dicks to each other all the time. I feel like
They're all
very petty bastards. I think we should. I feel like we've been recording for half an hour. We should probably actually start the story.
Jesus Christ.
This is nothing for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Henry and Gordon were lonely when Thomas left the yard to run his branch line. They missed him very much. They had more work to do. They couldn't wait in the shed till it was time and find their coaches at the platform. They had to fetch them. They didn't like that. Edward sometimes did odd jobs, and so did James, but James soon started grumbling too. The Fat Controller kindly gave Henry and Gordon new coats of paints. Henry chose green, but they still grumbled dreadfully.
I think the wording of the beginning is kind of weird. Like, Henry and Gordon were lonely when Thomas left. I think that's an interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like deep down they probably miss having Thomas around. Like, even if he was an annoying little runt to them, like, he was
their
still, like,
annoying
a part of the
little
engine
runt.
family, and now he's away.
Yeah.
This is the thing, right? Like, Thomas, I feel like his relationship to Edward, Gordon, and Henry, and, like, I guess to a lesser extent James, was kind of... They all hate him, but they also love him, but they pretend to hate him.
You could say they scold him, but they love him just the same.
It's like Thomas is like the kind of idiot child that they all have to look after, and he pisses them off.
But
they
he's
also,
their
like,
child.
They also do enjoy having him around
Yeah.
because, like, even if it's not really a really developed concept at this point, he is part of the family.
Yeah. I kind of do wonder if their fixation on, like, Thomas not being around to fetch their coaches for him is more of, like, an outlet or, like, maybe some kind of excuse for why they want to get Thomas back is like, maybe the master plan in the end is like, oh well, if we go on strike and ask for a tank engine, they'll bring Thomas back and we can, he can shunt our coaches for us again. Ha ha ha.
But secretly, they deep down, it's because they really want him back. That's cute. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, then again, they are also proud and stupid enough that they might only miss him just because he shunted the coaches. But I feel like that the wording of that line alone does add a bit of depth and kind of, it gives you enough context to make you kind of question why.
Yeah.
Why are they lonely if all they miss is just that he would do their work for him?
See, you could also take it as they do miss him, but they're also idiots, so they don't realize they miss him.
Yeah, no, that's how I think.
Yeah, they're probably not
would
self-aware enough to realize. They may be big engines, but they are very childish.
They may be big engines, but they don't have big brains.
Smooth brain.
I also want to say, I really like this illustration.
Yeah, no, I think it looks really
nice
cool.
Illustration.
Also, this is the return of Edward. And
Oh yeah, Edward's been absent for these last couple books, hasn't he?
We haven't seen Edward or Gordon since James the Red Engine. So.
Yeah, that's a 1-book absence, so it's not really that long. But
in a series which only has 5 books so far, one gap of not appearing is kind of big at the time.
Yeah, Henry hasn't had a focus story since the very first book, so I mean,
yeah,
this is pretty big for him.
Henry kind of fell to the wayside for a while.
Yeah, Audrey really just didn't know what to do with him, honestly.
He doesn't know until
yeah, he doesn't know until the next book what he wants to do with Henry.
And
apparently his plan up until then was kill him.
Until the middle of that book.
He's sick in all of his appearances. I guess that'll be excuse enough to just have him written off. But then I guess he somehow came up with the idea of, I could just have him, go through an arc, and that would be satisfying.
I'm fairly sure that the producers actually, the editors and shit actually told him to do that because they didn't want to kill Henry.
It's also
that's fair, honestly.
Even after he avoids killing him off, I don't think Henry plays a main role until Super Rescue. And that's his only major role in the rest of the Railway series.
I will say...
Or Tenders for Henry, too. But
I will say...
Oh, yeah.
2 great stories.
They're both really good.
They're really good.
And if he was gonna have to wait that many, it's a good payoff, but it is just interesting that he just didn't know.
Henry's kind of like a secondary character for a lot of these stories. But, I'm glad that...
Now he's not a character at all.
Yeah.
Barely anyone are characters at all anymore.
I'm sure. They still have toys of Henry in production. I'm sure at some point we're gonna see, Henry show up in the background of an All Engines Go episode in the same way we saw, James pass by with a tanker train in that storyboard that got leaked. But,
Yeah, this is... I obviously won't go too much into this because of reboot, but I do see them bringing... probably not for major roles, and definitely, adapted to fit All Engines Go, but, we're supposed to get, 112 episodes and, 2 half-hours, or, 2 or 4 half-hour specials, so, they're gonna bring in more characters, even just by virtue.
There's definitely gotta be more characters. At the very least, just tootling around in the background.
Yeah.
I believe everyone we have confirmed right now is, because there was that book of all the tabs, of all the characters, it's Thomas, Gordon, James Percy, Nia, Diesel, Connor, Head Carly, Sandy, and Kenji.
Best fucking character. Yeah, so, I see them adding more over time, even if they don't really do anything, just by virtue of, it being easier to just reuse old designs than make new ones.
Yeah. Getting back on topic, though, I'm gonna read something that I wrote down in my notes, 'cause I'm just saying this out loud because I don't have a good segue for it. But, you know, the big engines are being assholes about shunting their trains and stuff. But, you know, given how like in real life, big engines are actually pretty shitty when it comes to shunting, just because of their maneuverability being poor compared to a tank engine, I don't feel like it's that unreasonable for them to want someone else to shunt. They're just being assholes.
See, like, that's the thing, like, that's what the characterization is, really.
Yeah, like, you know, it's, like, that's, you know, I'm bringing real-world logic into it, but, you know, that same real-world logic is just where Audrey's characterization comes from, because, you know, a lot of the time when he characterizes these engines based on, like, you know, how they're like in real life, you know, he'll tend to use, like, their design flaws as kind of, kind of repurpose them into, like, personality flaws. So, it's a bit weird to think about sometimes, but I don't really have a problem with it. It's like that's the reason why, like, Daisy doesn't want to pull the milk fan. It's not because, you know, it's equated to her being lazy, or, like, you know, just not wanting to do it. But, you know, in real life, you probably couldn't get a rail car to actually pull it, because rail cars have, like, basically zero pulling power.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's just a thing to think about, like, you know, just how some characters are, like, their personas are built around overcoming their design flaws, but others basically just, like, you know, play into that as just part of who they are. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think I actually have a point with this. I just thought it was neat.
We get no rest, we get no rest, they complained as they clanked about the yard, but the coaches only laughed. You're lazy and slack, you're lazy and slack, they answered in their quiet, rude way. But when a circus came to town, the engines forgot they were tired. They all wanted to shunt the special trucks and coaches. They were dreadfully jealous of James when the Fat Controller told them to pull the train when the circus went away.
I think
like
it's
this.
really cute that the engines are all happy because there's a circus. Like, you know, they may be giant cranky locomotives, but like we said earlier, they're still childish at the end of the day. And what child wouldn't be delighted by the circus? You know, obviously, you know, it's...
I'm just imagining now, like, in the sheds at night, it's just the three of them talking about what their favorite animals in the circus are.
Aww.
Yeah. Like, you know, Henry's just like, I love the elephants. They're so big and funny.
I love the transition in the TV series where, like, James is just kind of like Henry's like to James, like, you look like a clown, and then Percy's like, oh, you've heard the circus is coming, and they're all like, wait, what? And then, like, the circus music starts playing, and, like, everyone is really excited, like, moving the cars. Yeah. I also I like the circus train. Like, it looks cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like the theme it has. I like the cool logo. I don't know why it's called Topham Circus. I guess that's just like
clearly...
a model maker gag, but you know.
Okay, look, no, I have the canon reason right here. You see, Sir Topham is obviously a very well-respected man. He puts a lot of work into making sure things run efficiently and very properly. But his brother, Sir Lowham Hat, is an idiot. And he thought it'd be funny to name his circus after his brother, because circuses are the paragon of chaos.
Well, so is a Northwestern Railway.
This is true.
Like, God, I swear to God, I think, like, Andrew Sodor Label's account made, like, a post, the Topham Circus truck, and it was just a big tweet with big letters that says, Topham Circus, and I replied to it with, like, an edited Google search response that says, did you mean Northwestern Railway?
Accurate
yeah.
is the thing.
You know, circus, seeing, like, all the circus animals is kind of, like, weird by today's standards, because, like,
yeah,
it's not really considered a good thing nowadays, for good reason, because a lot of those animals end up abused in circuses, but, like, in terms of, like, things that don't age well, I feel like this is a pretty, like, a really, like, minor example.
I feel like we can consider it, like, because, like, even in the Railway series, Sodor is supposed to be a more kind of, like, idealistic world that, like, this is, like...
This is a good circus that doesn't abuse its animals.
Yeah, this is a world where, like, don't have like the Barnum and Bailey type circuses, and it's like an actual place that cares and takes care of the animals.
You know, alternatively, if you just want to remove the circus element in general, you could do what Don did in his rewrite, which I'm trying my best to not talk about this entire time, because it's really good, but it doesn't...
I do that every story,
there's-
don't worry about it.
I feel like, we do that every story, but I feel like it doesn't, like, actually contribute a lot to our, like,
No, fuck it, it does.
actual-
Dawn's stuff is good, read it.
Yes, go read Don's stuff, but also, like, I don't want to I don't want to go on about it forever.
No, I get
because-
that, I get that.
Yeah, you know. But I really like what he did by changing it to a traveling zoo.
Yeah.
I think that was a very good way to, like, kind of, like, keep that aspect while also kind of being like, you know,
Yeah.
maybe not do the circus thing, you
It's
know?
basically the perfect, like, kind of modernization for, pun
Yeah.
not intended, but now totally intended once I realized it, of, like, the story, because it literally makes it where nothing about the actual content of the story needs to change, but it makes it where it's a more, I guess...
Aware?
aware, yeah, and, like, fitting of what we know in modern day and what we consider okay, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. You know. And of course the circus train gets pulled away by James, because he's the biggest clown of them all.
Yeah, I like James getting to take the circus train. And I like him
Yeah.
being, like, excited by it and everything.
Do you think they picked him because he's bright red and looks like a dumbass?
Probably, and he doesn't realize that, and the others don't
Yeah,
either.
he's a big, ridiculous red train. Of course he's gonna be good for their branding.
So who do you want to take the circus train? We want that one. Okay.
Well, I can't blame you, and he gets it out him out of my ear, so you know.
Yeah, this is also the illustration that's got Gordon too, or Benry,
Yeah.
whichever one we've decided it is.
This is the thing, right? This is Gordon hiding Benry before Benry can make his escape.
Imperfect.
Oh, I see. And that's why we never see. That's why we never see Benry again. Is because Gordon.
Yeah, because after
Gordon helped him escape.
After Henry took back his life, Benry realized that his plan wasn't going to work. So, what he did was he ran away to the mainland and then ended up in the disused sidings on the Railway of Nowhere.
Ah, I see.
We gotta get Kara to add him to their series.
Change his name to Regaby as well.
Yeah, it's a real funny guy. God, what the fuck was I gonna say here?
I like this illustration too. Like I
Yeah, you know, James looks excited. You can see the funny little elephants.
I like them just sulking in the shed in the background.
Yeah, like, you know, they're all like, no, I wanted to pull the train. No.
I like that somebody just stuck some fucking trucks in front of Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially that, like, it's also like you this kind of goes back to like what we were talking about with everyone getting caught up with like the circus hype, I guess, because like Gordon wants to pull what's by technicality a goods train.
But it's a fun and exciting goods train.
Exactly. You could say it's a very special.
Oh no.
However, they soon forgot about the animals as they had plenty of work to do. One morning, Henry was told to take some workmen to a tunnel which was blocked. He grumbled away to find 2 trucks to carry the workmen and their tools. Pushing trucks, he muttered in a sulky sort of way. They stopped outside the tunnel and tried to look through it, but it was quite dark. No daylight shone from the other end.
So, like, apparently in the Railway series it's been days since the train left, but in the TV series it seems like it's been a matter of hours. You know.
Which I think is better considering the content, because I feel like they would have noticed if, like, the circus train, like, got to where it was supposed to be already, and there was just a fucking elephant missing. Like, I feel
See,
like that
my-
would result in a freak out for whoever was supposed to be making sure that was there, because there's a lot that
Yeah.
could go wrong.
See, like, I just think it's funny to imagine that this was, like, the next day, and they just didn't have time to check it. Because you can see James coming back, and I like to think that this is
Yeah.
him returning from taking the circus train.
Yeah, that'd be good continuity.
Yeah.
It's better continuity than assuming this is on the same day, because if it was, that's a fucking fast trip he's making.
And it's just,
Well, I
it's
guess
just
it
like,
could be a couple hours, because...
I just like the idea of
be.
James just, like, passing by Henry, like, as Henry is fucking punished for his lack of attention.
Yeah. Also, important thing, if you look really closely, I'm pretty sure James's wheels are gray here. Turns out this whole time the original Taken Long James and the fucking Bachman one were just being hashtag railway series accurate, get pwned liberals, boom, facts and logic, baby! I don't know what's wrong with me.
Anyway, it's important to note that this is not Henry's Tunnel in the Railway series, because that is on the other side of the island. This is the Tidmouth Tunnel. So feel free to make a joke about Brave and the Bold, or Brave and Bold, that one episode in the hit model
Batman,
era
the
that had
Brave and the
Tidmouth
Bold.
Tunnel.
That wasn't the
Yeah.
that wasn't the Henry's Tunnel in that episode either.
I mean, it might be Henry's Tunnel in the episode. I'm not sure.
From
But in
what
the
I
Railway
get in the
series, this
TV
is Tidmouth Tunnel.
In the TV series, Tidmouth Tunnel is that one tunnel with the pond next to it that goes to the Little Western.
Is it? Oh, God. TV series map is dumb. I'm not
Stuff
gonna
I
think
like.
about it.
I like Morris's voices and noises on this page.
Yeah. Like, I forgot to mention a few pages back, but on the first page, Morris just fucking skipped over half a page of, like,
Yeah, no,
detail.
he just
Yeah.
didn't even acknowledge half of it.
Yeah, like, he didn't even acknowledge James or Edward. Wonder
And he
what was
didn't
up with
mention,
that.
I don't think he mentioned Henry getting a new color.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he didn't.
I need to start reading the stories for notes, because I'll fully admit I tend to listen to the story and then compare it to the TV series versions afterwards to make my notes, but
Yeah,
like there's a lot I've noticed gets skipped over in the narrations, and
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot, like, easier to get away with in the season 1 episodes, if only just because most of those tend to be very literally adapted. But, I think, reading the actual text is good. too.
yeah. No, honestly, I was planning, this is giving a little bit of, I guess, glimpse behind the camera, so to speak, or curtain, whatever you want the analogy to be. I did my notes last night because, like, I've been kind of busy lately, and I wanted to read the story, but, like, it was late and I was tired, so I kind of just, like, went with this, and I was like, I'll start next time.
See, I was actually kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to record today, because, like, I got my second COVID jab yesterday, so I didn't bother reading anything yesterday. And then by the time I realized, oh yeah, I'm fine, I can record, Mari and Jamie were already in the recording room, and I had realized I hadn't actually read the story yet.
So I guess the takeaway from this whole tangent is that we're a woefully prepared podcast.
Jamie is the best of us at preparing.
Jamie is just the best of us in general.
No, you're all great. I will take that award for best prepared though, because I think even if I
Because
tried to
it's
dispute
true.
that, I would be lying because I have done so much. I've done entirely too much for me to deny anything. What with all my fucking graphic design and note taking,
This is the
It's
thing.
too much.
Everybody, I just want to say, Mari, keep this in. Everybody, this
I'm editing
podcast
this
would
one.
not be able to exist without Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie
I'm
is
editing
the
this
one
one,
that
so
runs
I will
all
cut
this.
as much as I need to out of a second embarrassment. You can't stop me, motherfuckers.
No, Jamie, keep in where I say you're good, because you're good.
I'll keep it a little bit, and I'm gonna be blushing the entire time.
Aw.
Okay, God. Should we move on to the next page? That's all I really have to say about this page.
Yeah, let's go for
Yeah,
it.
I'm good. The workmen took their tools and went inside. Suddenly, with a shout, they all ran out looking frightened. We went to the block and started to dig, but it grunted and moved, they said. Rubbish, said the foreman. It's not rubbish, it's big and alive. We're not going in there again. Right. I'll ride in this truck and Henry shall push it out. Wheesh, said Henry unhappily. He hated tunnels. He had been shot up in one once. But this was worse. Something big and alive was inside.
God, I love the wordplay of it being rubbish. Just
Yeah.
they literally thought going into it that it's just full of a bunch of rubbish. We'll just shovel it out. But no, it's literally not rubbish. And neither is their claim. I love that kind of humor. Audrey's great at it.
Can I just be honest here? This part of the episode always made me sad because I got worried that they were like digging like shovels and stuff into the elephant. I got scared that they heard it.
Yeah, I really hope they, I hope that elephant was okay. I'm sure given how the elephant was fairly nice when they started to give it food, so I suppose they didn't hurt it that much. Elephants are pretty tough.
It's just God, just imagine you get lost and you don't know where any of your friends are. You get stuck in a hole. Somebody tries to stab you with a pickaxe, and then a train tries to push you.
Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed too, honestly.
This elephant's having kind of a shit day.
Yeah. So is Henry, honestly, because,
Yeah.
They do mention, the whole tunnel being shut up and thing. I don't necessarily know if it's trying to imply he's been traumatized by the event. I feel like that's a natural conclusion to take from it, but, I mean, I don't know.
Here's the thing. Based on this one and the TV series one, I don't think it's supposed to be implying that, but the way that the narration does it, it doesn't include the... It's weird. It includes the parenthesis, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't say this one was worse or something. It's worded slightly different, and I don't know. When I was first listening to it, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Are they trying to imply that he's traumatized?
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel like generally speaking, there's very few things that can actually, really, truly traumatize the engines when you go through the Railway series.
Yeah.
I feel like the one thing that tends to do that is, scrap and mortality. But, we're a ways away from that, so...
Beg pardon, Donald. The death comes for us all.
Yeah, I do kind of I feel like it starts to get more on the next page, but there is a bit of I don't know if I'd call it a creepy atmosphere, but to an extent, it is, this and the next page have kind of a bit of I feel like if you played it right, you could get kind of a creepy atmosphere of it, just because, holy shit, what the fuck is in that tunnel? You know?
I love Henry's face when everyone's running out. His mouth is so big he could probably vor one of them if he wanted to.
Moving on.
But yeah, no, I agree.
Sorry.
This makes a fun atmosphere, and
getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I always love the shot in the next page where it's just Henry goes in, stops, and just slowly starts coming out backwards.
Yeah. No, I
love this. I love this part of the episode.
Yeah,
the episode does a lot for the atmosphere with the music it uses, especially because it's in season 4, and because it's in season 4, it has the instruments are a lot less synthy, and they feel more they feel a bit realer than they would in season 1. So it really helps the atmosphere.
I really like, just in general, how this episode looks, because, like, obviously
It's really
because it's
pretty.
season 4, like, it
Yeah,
has
season 4 looks good.
that visuals, and obviously season 1 is really good, and there's a reason why it is, but, like, I had forgot how kind of
Visually-
comparatively flat season 1 looks.
This is the thing, right? Season
Yeah.
1, in terms of when it was made, is very impressive. But visually, seasons 3, 4, and especially 5 fucking destroy it.
Yeah, I respect season 1, but like I feel like it when it comes to like visuals and stuff, it is kind of like bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
Visually, my least favorite season is actually season 2.
I can respect
I can
that.
kind of see that. They're very visually similar, but I feel like season 2 has a bit of like a everything's falling apart atmosphere
Yeah.
to an
which
extent.
is partially why I don't like it, I guess. Like, I think...
I like season 2. I think it's a very good season. It's like has a lot of
I
great
like season 2
episodes.
as well. I just wish it wasn't as falling aparty.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
like it
it's just
visually.
like-
You know, it is definitely carried by the stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the stories in season 2 are amazing.
Yeah.
This is also a nice illustration.
Yeah, it's a nice illustration. I like the, you know, I like the two boys on top of the tunnel. You know, I don't know if you'll be able to see them in the illustration because of the way I have to crop them for the graphic design. They're just kind of like standing nearby, watching the whole event unfold. And I think that's
Yeah.
fun. That's a fun little
This is the thing,
visual
right?
Yeah.
gag.
These two are the scouts. They're scouting out locations to fucking ruin Henry's day.
Yeah, they're gonna take Henry's number.
Get a load of these fuckers.
Train spotting on Solo must be really easy.
Yeah,
It must
because
be
like you know,
fun.
there's like 6 engines, and their numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Or at this point, it's just one. Imagine fucking like train spotting, but literally none of the engines actually have numbers.
Well, that actually, I think that'd be right now, because they don't have numbers until the next book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, at this point in Sodor's train spotting community, you'd be able to mark down Thomas,
And
and
that's
then
it.
that's it. Imagine you buy like a Northwestern Region of British Railways train spotting book, and it's just one page and it has a picture of Thomas drawn in with crayons.
I mean, it might just have their names in it. And, like, pictures of them or something.
Okay, but like, the idea that even the train spotting books are a lot more personal than the Northwestern is actually really cute.
Yeah.
I love the Northwestern Railway is so personal. I love it.
Yeah, like, I feel like they'd want to be, like, known by their names rather than...
Yeah, you know, because like being known as just a number is kind of dehumanizing.
Exactly.
I mean,
You know, that's why every proper engine has a name.
It's a lot
Yeah,
better to be known as
that's
a
the
name
thing.
than a number. It says you really belong.
Yeah.
Peep, 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 he whistled. I don't want to go in. Neither do I, said his driver, but we must clear the line. Oh dear, puffed Henry as they slowly advanced into the darkness. Bump! Henry's driver shut off steam at once. Help, help, we're going back, wailed Henry, and slowly moving out into the daylight came first Henry, then the trucks, and last of all, pushing hard and rather cross, came a large elephant. The shot is good.
This shot's really good. I like this illustration.
Same.
I
Like
really
everyone's
feel like
fucking
you could-
running.
Yeah.
Like, God, I just fucking love, like, you know, like I was saying, like, on the last page, it's kind of like a tense atmosphere when we're, like, waiting for Henry to try and confront the monster in the tunnel. And then it starts pushing him, and we're like, oh fuck, what's happening? And it's just an elephant.
You know, if there's a
Insert
monster in
elephant
the
Thomas
tunnel-
joke here.
If there's a monster in the tunnel, you could even say that there are monsters everywhere.
Hiding
Yeah.
everywhere.
You know, where is the elephant when Henry needed to be taken out of the tunnel? You know, one shove for this guy and the Fat Controller could have saved himself a call to the bricklayers.
I really feel like the shot of like Henry, like he goes in, stops, and then slowly starts reversing out. You could probably make a shit ton of memes out of that.
I love that specifically. Like, it's a great shot and everything, but you can also tell they wanted to hide the elephant's legs because they weren't
Yeah.
moving. Like, obviously perfectly fine.
probably
It's just kind of
stuck him on,
funny.
they probably just stuck him on like a flatbed or something.
Henry
Yeah.
was probably moving back, and he was probably just, like, tied to the front or something.
Yeah. You know,
Or they
trick
made
of
a
a camera.
Or they made a fully working animatronic elephant.
This is Thomas and Friends. They can't do that. Like, I guess if that's it, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Well, I never did, said the foreman. It's an elephant from the circus. Henry's driver put on his brakes, and a man ran to the telephone for the keeper. The elephant stopped pushing and came towards them. They gave him some sandwiches and cake, so he forgot he was cross and remembered he was hungry. He drank 3 buckets of water without stopping, and was just going to drink another when Henry let off steam. The elephant jumped and whoosh! He squirted the water over Henry by mistake. Poor Henry. This is fun.
Like, you know,
He squirted.
I don't know if elephants should be eating stuff like that, but, you know, I do love how Audrey, like, pretty much always writes animals as, like, you know, they're not very well-tempered, but they could be bribed with food.
I mean, to be fair, that's kind of
Then
real
again,
life.
Like I said earlier, if some dudes in their engine tried battering ramming me out of my new funky cave home, I think I'd be pretty pissed too.
You know,
But then if they gave me cake, I'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, cake.
the thing
Yeah,
was
you know,
probably
this is fine.
scared. It doesn't know where it is. It's just like, on
What
its
the fuck
own,
is
it
this?
was probably hiding, and then fucking, like, people come in, start hitting it with shovels, and then, like, an engine comes in and starts trying to push it out of place. Like, it was probably scared.
Yeah. You know. Why didn't any of those workmen bring any, like, kind of lighting to look at what they were doing? They don't
Shoulda
have
had
that back then.
Should have had cell phones with them. Although it's probably a good idea they didn't bring fire in with them. Like,
Well,
if they
not
had
fire,
like
like,
torches
you know,
or something.
Maybe like a light, maybe not a torch, but like, you know, a lantern or like,
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
you know, I was gonna say a flashlight, but I don't think those existed in the 20s.
Do you know when?
I just want to bring attention to the man near Henry's tender who's just like, yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to very quickly say, because we're thinking about like animals in the books, my favorite thing with that is the fact that Duck has to ask his driver and fireman to make sure that Donalds aren't gonna hurt the duck.
Yeah.
Aww.
Like, oh, they won't hurt her, will they? Like, no, Duck, they're both nice. She won't get hurt. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Quackaroo.
That's a nice moment, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I do, you know, Duck's playing a trick, but he's like, well, okay, maybe I should be sure this won't go horribly wrong before I do this.
I want to hurt Donald. I don't want to hurt the duck.
Yeah.
I will say,
Duck does not condone animal cruelty.
I will say, if I was ever put in charge of a Thomas reboot, I would just make it canon that Dilly is always in Donald's tender.
Aww.
Like, she's just
I would do
always
that
there.
too. That's fun.
Because, like, I really like the fact that Donald has a pet duck.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I love it.
It's cute.
You know, it's like how some stations have like a pet cat.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else to say about this page other than I think it's fun.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this page either. Like, you know, there's some things in it. Like, you know, the whole, like, Henry getting whooshed is gonna, like, you know, carry over into the next page. And, like, you know, I'll have things to say about it then. But, like, you know, for the moment, owned.
Alright, so let's
He's very
finish.
upset.
Yeah. When the keeper came, the workmen rode home happily in the trucks, laughing at their adventure. But Henry was very cross. An elephant pushed me! An elephant whooshed me! He hissed. He was sulky all day, and his coaches had an uncomfortable time. In the shed, he told Gordon and James about the elephant. And I'm sorry to say that instead of laughing and telling him not to be silly, they looked sad and said, "Oh, you poor engine. You have been badly treated." The
So,
end,
like,
question mark.
So, like, you know, I feel like Henry is taking this entirely too personally. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because,
The
like,
elephant didn't like do it intentionally. He just got scared.
yeah, like, it's an animal. Animals get startled by surprising things, like an engine letting off steam. And Henry's, like, just taking it so personally. Use it as an excuse to,
Go on
be mean to the
strike.
coaches. And then Gordon and James are, like, Gordon and James are very intentionally kind of like, God, what's the word? I
Stoking
want to say
it.
grooming, but I'm not sure that's the right word.
Kind
I
of
think
like
stroking might be it, yeah.
Stoking the flames.
Stokes
Yeah,
up
they're
the
stoking
magic
the
in mountain and
flames
lady will
instead of,
smile.
like, like, I feel like Henry should just be able, like, if Henry were a reasonable engine, he could just laugh it off and be like, oh ho ho, how silly. An elephant hooshed me. Oh well.
Yeah.
But instead, like, he's taking it extremely personally, and now this is essentially his motivation for what happens later in the book. And, like, it in the book version, it's kind of hard to feel sorry for him when he's, like, he is definitely being very silly right now.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of question, do you think Gordon and James already, or at least Gordon, already had the strike in mind and they're kind of trying to, like, groom Henry towards doing it with them? Or do you think it's all three of them kind of share a brain cell at this point?
It's kind of hard to say just because of how, like, vague and, like, how art, like, the whole, like, big engine strike plotline. I feel like us making a lot of inferences with regards to, like, some things that we noticed reading the book.
Yeah.
But, I have noticed in the, like, in the next two stories, when it comes to, like, planning this thing, Gordon does do a lot of the talking instead of Henry and James when it comes to this. So, like, I feel like this whole strike thing is Gordon's idea, and he's, essentially throughout these next few stories, he's essentially using these essentially as kind of like the starting points to kind of, like, bring Henry and James into it.
Yeah.
So, like, he's kind of manipulating them in a way, but manipulating seems like a strong word, but
No, it's kind of accurate.
Kind of looking at the next two stories in the book, I feel like it is kind of, there is a reasonable doubt that they are striking for any tangible reason, which we'll get to in the next story. But,
I hope the elephant's okay.
Yeah, it was fine. At least in the TV series, they show it getting taken away by the keeper, so, like, and it looked happy.
The thing we just spent so much, like, brain power thinking and talking about, which was, like, James and Henry kind of manipulating Henry. Well, actually, first of all, before I talk about this, they say James also does this, but, like, I feel like to an extent he's kind of going along with Gordon.
Yeah.
But,
that
like,
was always kind of James's personality in the early books.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, falls around Gordon for validation and stuff.
I will say, I do love the fact that they showed that more clearly in The Adventure Begins.
Same.
Oh, definitely. That was really good.
Like the one shot of, it's like, when Thomas first comes in, when he's repainted, and, like, Gordon laughs and leaves, and James is, like, kind of panics for a second and starts following him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, James just wants approval.
Yep. The TV series version basically changes the ending, so that way, the big engines tell Henry, oh, Henry, oh, you're afraid of the rain, and now you're afraid of an elephant, whatever's next. And then Thomas is like, don't worry, Henry, you were a really reliable engine today. And I think that's a pretty dumb ending.
Yeah,
It's
like, I feel like, on the whole, like, as we said earlier in the podcast, I feel like the TV version of Henry and the Elephant does a really good job of being an out-of-order adaptation. It shaves off the continuity, weirdness, and, does a good job of making it stand alone. But just, I think they could have done a better ending than just that. It reminds me a lot of the end of fucking Percy James and the Fruitful Day, where at the
Yeah.
very end they're like, "We're all really useful after all."
I feel like
I don't
all
know.
they had to do was make it where, like, maybe Thomas says something that gets Henry kind of laughing with everyone. Like, just something that, like, makes him see that, like,
It's
yeah,
not a
it
big deal.
was pretty. Like, the whole situation is pretty funny and absurd in hindsight. It's more of just, like, a funny story to tell in, like, future rather than, like, anything to actually be, like, angry or embarrassed by.
Yeah.
See, like, I think they did, for the most part, they did a good job kind of turning it into a story that doesn't strictly tie into the plot of the book when they adapted it, but at the same time, it's like, with kind of all of the out of order adaptations, with, like, I guess the exception of Duke the Lost Engine, they always kind of feel like they have something missing because they're very deliberately trying to cut out plot points that tie into other stories.
Yeah, I feel that to an extent with some of them too. Some of them do a better job than others.
I think my biggest issue is, I love Percy's Promise, and I think it's a great episode, but it gets really weird when you consider that they acknowledge Percy's Promise in Season 2.
Yeah, that was especially weird.
Yeah, that
I
one.
think that's an outstanding circumstance.
That one, it's
So.
at least easy enough to pretend one, like, even if, like, they're out of order season-wise, it's just episodes out of order rather than, like, timeline
Yeah.
out of order. With this one, I honestly, I don't know how much I want to say because it kind of factors into my ranking, but, like, I honestly don't really think anything is lost, like, moving this one out of place, because it's Henry's reason for striking, I guess, but, like, I always found that really stupid, and it's like, I guess that's supposed to be the point, but then it's like...
Yeah, like this is a really weak reason for this doesn't have anything to do with shunting or tenders or turntables. Henry just got splashed one time and is like, okay, I'll go along with this movement I don't entirely understand. Okay.
It's
Okay,
like
I kind of
going
love the
on
idea
Reddit.
that was. I kind of like the idea that was Henry's thought process. Is he just like, well, I don't really know what's going on, but Gordon and James seem to like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like you suggested, Mar. They all kind of have one brain cell, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we
just
should
like-
move into rankings, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's like a very quick final thought on this. It's like, I generally actually kind of prefer the most of the episode to the book for this story. I just really don't like the ending for the episode.
Yeah, I feel like if the ending to the episode was just a little bit different, I think I'd like it a lot better. But for the rest of it, though, episode's just fine,
Yeah.
And I think the stories also fine the way it is too. Like, they're I feel like they're different enough where I can kind of respect them both on their own merits, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a lot of the other season 1 adaptations, which are just like most of the time just the same story but with like bits cut off, and occasionally those bits will be like detrimental. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. So, shall we get into rankings then?
Yeah, I think personally, I would give this story a Percy. Like, it's a pretty okay opening story for the book. Like, it's not amazing, but, I think it's got enough going for it that it's an entertaining story, and I feel way more positively about it than I do for, say, James in the Top Hat. Yeah. So yeah, Percy, it's good.
I'm similar. I also give it a Percy. I think it's the strongest opening story we've had besides Thomas
Besides
and
the
Gordon.
Thomas ones?
Yeah, or besides Thomas and Gordon. Like,
Oh yeah, because you gave the opening story a lower rating
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like it has more personality to it than Guard, but then I also kind of I also kind
You
of
wish they were like you wish they kind of done more with the characters.
yeah, I kind of wish I wish Henry, I guess, did a bit more. He has like some fun bits, and like if they really wanted this to be his reason for striking, I feel like they could have like maybe expanded on the ending or like tied it in a bit more. But like overall, it's fine. It's a fun one. I don't honestly have particularly strong feelings on it, but it's fun to read and fun to watch overall. So Percy.
I would probably say like a high Percy rather than like a kind of low Percy, because like I really like this story. It's a fun one, but it's like there's not really all that much to it. Henry goes along, he's like, oh fuck, an elephant. The elephant fucking like pisses on him, and then he's like, shit, and that's the end of the story. And it's like I really like it. I kind of like the idea that Henry just has increasingly ridiculous negative connotations with tunnels.
Yeah.
God.
And like, you know, it's like I like animals, and
Aw.
I actually quite like elephants. I think elephants are really cool. And it's a good story. It's just nothing amazing, and it's I think it is probably my least favorite in this book if I had to rank them.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fair.
So-
Maybe tied with Trouble in the Shed.
I
Yeah.
don't remember enough about the others to be able to rank them, so I'm curious to like
Well,
see
well,
how
one
like
of them is one of them is Percy's first story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel Mari. Honestly, I feel like I feel like maybe we should just adopt like doing all the notes at once going forward.
you
just
know
because,
I'm
like,
going to.
I feel like I I had fun doing all my notes at once at least.
yeah no like I
I just
you know,
don't-
they get a
I
lot
just
of our
don't
work
do
out of the way
notes.
really early on too. So,
like I
you know.
said earlier, I had honestly wanted to. I had just been really busy this week, so I ended up doing my notes like
Yeah, you're valid.
late in the game. I'm gonna do all of them before the next episode and then run with that because I honestly really want to. And like even just having watched the other stories when I did Thomas Goes Fishing like helped like with that episode too. So yeah.
Yeah.
See, I just don't do notes. So, viewers, if you ever notice that I have significantly less interesting things to say in this show, it's because I don't take notes.
You always have interesting things to say. You're great and I love you.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up the episode, I have just one question for all of us.
Yes.
Could the elephant beat Jiren?
I mean, obviously.
Yeah,
I
obviously.
don't know what that is.
Jiren is the final character, the final antagonist character in the Dragon Ball Super anime series, who Toei Animation wanted to give a personality, and then Akira Toriyama, who was the writer and also the one that for Super gave like the outlines and the notes, was like, no. And they're like, okay, so what is his personality? He's a wall the characters need to overcome. So they just gave him kind of the personality of a brick wall. And
But
also,
he's also very strong and says
Yeah.
that, you know, oh, you did the smart battle tactic? That's not real strength.
his intro in Fighters is literally just him sitting and meditating, and then he opens his eyes and then just goes, "I will fight," and that's it.
I
And that was after the entire anime aired too, so it wasn't even like they didn't have material.
I said this to you earlier today, Mari, but now whenever I think of Dragon Ball, I just think of that one fucking moment with my sister.
Yeah.
What are you watching, Edie? Dragon Ball Super. Oh, is it good? No, it's just on.
Well, obviously, if she had been watching Dragon Ball Kai from, you know, specifically the original one, not the 2014 one, and also the version with the original soundtrack, then she would have been very happy, because Dragon Ball Kai, the original, is raw.
See,
I like Kai.
I just think it's really funny that I just walk into my sister's room and she's just like quietly sitting on the bed, just like just very sadly looking at the TV, watching Dragon Ball Super.
This is the thing. I like Dragon Ball Super more than most people. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. Even I get it. Especially if it was early on. Fucking, I watched the Resurrection F adaptation in Super once. It's fucking something.
Super really just didn't need to exist. I think I would have been fine with it if Dragon Ball had just, like, not gone beyond, like, the end of Z. I would have been fine if it just ended at GT, but no. Toriyama wanted to rake in some money.
I'm glad it exists because it's the reason the franchise was popular enough for fighters to become a thing that they made, which I don't think would have happened if the brand wasn't as, like, big as it... Well, I mean, obviously it's big, but, like, active, I guess.
Yeah, like,
and
it's
then
a
I
worldwide
wouldn't...
thing. I'm sure something like Fighters would have happened eventually.
I guess not with, like, the
know.
budget and, like, marketing and stuff it got, which is what, like, got me into the franchise, so... I don't know.
I don't know. But, you know, speaking of endings, I feel like we should probably end the podcast for today.
Yeah. Before
you know,
we get a fucking Railway Series Book Club Tournament of Power.
God. It's been a bit of a strange episode today, but I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope you'll like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, join our Discord server, subscribe to our OnlyFans.
Yes.
Remember,
yes.
Make sure to share the show with your friends. The more people subscribe, the more power we have to keep Andrew at bay in the Thomas Vault.
We're gonna become top trains, bitches. I'll probably cut that out. Bye, everyone.
Join our mailing list.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.